Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. And let me get this straight. If you get caught smoking weed while wearing a bong mask and taking illegal money, basically doing everything illegal that a college player is not supposed to do, that's okay. With the NFL, you still get a job. If you beat a woman like she's a runaway slave to the point where she has more bruises on her body than a leopard has spots, that's okay. With the NFL. Apparently, you can tweet pictures of a masked terrorist slitting the throat of a police officer. That's okay with the NFL. But what you can't do is wear something to show your respect to fallen police officers who were murdered by a domestic terrorist. According to the NFL, that is not okay, and that is just what has happened. The NFL has rejected the Dallas Cowboys offer to wear stickers on their helmets. I believe the stickers said arm in arm, and what those stickers were representative of was paying respect to the 5 officers that were slain in Dallas by Micah Xavier Johnson. And the NFL says, no, we can't do that. That is too political, and we are not here to promote people's political views. We're just here to play sports, apparently. And I guess one writer echoed those statements in, an article he wrote and in a series of tweets. Now, first off, I think it was absolutely wrong of the NFL not to allow the players, especially in lieu of the fact that the Dallas Cowboys or Jerry Jones went out of his way to defend Greg Hardy after Greg Hardy beat on that woman. You defended this guy up until you were forced to release him. And it would have been, to me, that would have been a great gesture for the Cowboys to not only, those were fellow Texans that they would have been honoring, but it would have shown that the Cowboys are not so out of touch with what's going on that they cannot stop, take a moment, and pay respects to those police officers. And let me say this about the Tunsil thing before I go on. And maybe it's just me. It's the way my brain works. But I'm looking at that photograph and that video of him. Now, this just goes to show you just how, number one, that black athletes are just a waste of time. But today's black man is so pathetic. You don't even know when you're insulting yourself. You're a black man in a southern state smoking weed under the Confederate flag. And I mean, for a lot of you dumb Negroes, your minds are so gone that if they were giving away free weed and Air Jordans at a lynching, you would show up. That's just how dumb and pathetic a lot of you are. So let's get back to what we were talking about. Now, the article that the guy wrote, which goes on, I guess, to give various points as to why the Cowboys should not be allowed to wear the stickers to honor the officers. In my opinion, one of the most lopsided one-way articles that you could possibly write. First of all, he says, well, it's okay for, it's a no-brainer, as a matter of fact, for the NFL to honor those who were killed in the terrorist attacks from 9/11, which is political. But it's not okay to honor the victims of a terrorist attack. You see, what we don't want to come to grips with, I think, a lot of times is the domestic terrorism issue that we have to deal with. It's okay when somebody from across the water or halfway around the world or ISIS or anybody like that. As a matter of fact, let's say if somebody from ISIS just slipped through the cracks and got into the United States and opened fire on those police officers. If the very exact same thing happened and those players wanted to wear stickers on their helmets, nobody would have anything to say against that. But because it's a domestic terrorism issue and because it's a black person involved, you see all these liberal, especially you liberal white writers, it's all right for you to take this liberal stance as far as defending these morons when they commit terrorist acts. That's extremely hypocritical. You show your bias even further when you go on to write in your article that, this is one of the sections in your article, that as horrifying as it is to see people on Twitter argue that an unarmed black civilian or unarmed black civilians deserve to die, it's easy to mourn for slain officers without using the perverse slogan, Blue Lives Matter. So you've already determined that that slogan is perverse, which to me, the police officers who made it up, well, you're calling them perverse as well. Well, see, sir, I'm black, and I happen to think that Black Lives Matters. That slogan has now become perverse, but you don't say that. You don't say that the Black Lives Matter slogan, which can be linked to more destruction, more violence, and is indirectly and directly responsible for the situation in Dallas, for the situation in Baton Rouge, for the current situation in Milwaukee, where people now feel that it is their right, or they have the right, to openly disrespect police officers, openly attack police officers, shoot at police officers. That, sir, to me, because of that slogan, makes that slogan perverse. But you never seem, or you and white writers, white liberal writers like you, never seem to link Black Lives Matters to any of the issues and any of the problems that have resulted because of Black Lives Matters. That's extremely hypocritical on your part. You always like to use the phrase unarmed black civilian, unarmed black teenager, unarmed black man. But what you fail to mention when you use that is that most, if not all, of those people were engaging in criminal acts at the time they were shot by the police. But that's okay to give black people a pass for doing the wrong thing and getting shot, as opposed to some police officers who were doing the right thing, got shot and got killed, but they're perverse and their slogan is perverse. That is absolutely ridiculous. You also go on to say that, well, you're going to bring up the issue of players wearing these t-shirts. That's off the field behavior. In other words, you can wear what you want to wear during warm-ups. That has nothing to do with the game. Now, that is absolutely ridiculous, because the same way the press is going to cover a player if he's wearing the, remember the old I Can't Breathe t-shirts that the players were wearing in support of somebody else who was engaging in criminal behavior. The same way that the press would cover them if they were wearing it during a game is the same way, or the same press that's going to cover them and is going to get the same attention even if they're in their warm-ups. So that makes absolutely no sense. The fact that you wear it and you display it means that you're engaging in something political, and the NBA and the NFL apparently have allowed players to run on field with the hands up, the I Can't Breathe, and all that kind of stuff. Now let me show you what happens when you allow inmates to run the asylum, when you allow prisoners to run the prison. Well, now the WNBA, ladies from the WNBA, have decided they don't want to do post-game interviews because they want to protest. Alton Sterling, another criminal carrying a gun who was shot and killed by police, they say, well, all we're going to talk about is Black Lives Matter during our interviews. All we're going to talk about is this unarmed black man and black teenager and black people and all that stuff. So we're not going to talk about anything else. And the NBA started to throw fines at the players that participated. I think they were like $5,000 fines. The NBA backed off of that. They rescinded the fines and put out some BS statement about about the players are allowed to express themselves and blah, 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 which is in direct contradiction to the writer. Because if you're saying it's not right, well, now the NBA is saying that you're saying it's wrong. I'm sorry. You're saying it's wrong. Now the NBA is saying that it's right. But the $5,000 that they backed off of, you got to figure with what they pay the women in the NBA, $5,000. That's like a whole year's salary. So I guess they say they want to bankrupt none of the girls in the WNBA. Beyonce, during last year's Super Bowl, Beyonce's Formation performance was heavily criticized by a lot of people because they felt that she took the opportunity to express her displeasure with the police and with what was going on. So the Black Panther-ish, I guess, kind of dress that her and the dancers were wearing was supposed to let everybody know that, she knew what was going on out there and she didn't like it, and black power and all that other kind of stuff. But she's allowed to do it. The performers are allowed to express themselves. The players can't express themselves, even though they can express themselves in other ways. Like I said, that photograph that was tweeted by that Cleveland Brown of that man slitting that cop's throat. See, now he showed you exactly what he thinks of law enforcement. And I always say, for most of these black players, if they weren't in the NFL, if they weren't in the NBA, they are a step away from being criminals themselves. But the writer goes on to say, though, because if you allow that to happen, well, when is this going to stop? Are you going to allow decals that say Black Lives Matter, pro-life, pro-choice, repeal Obamacare, John 3:16? Where does it end? Well, I'm quite sure that one statement would not have, kind of jumped off to where now the helmets become advertisements for everybody's political views. This was something that was a one-time thing, and it should have been done. And I don't know, the article and the tweets that the guy wrote that tried to defend his position, I think that was absolutely ridiculous. It is a shame that the Cowboys didn't fight the NFL on that. The NFL allows players to get away with more criminal behavior than anything. And this one act of solidarity between the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas police, and everybody in Texas. I don't know. I just thought it would have been a good thing. But I think since the ladies of the WNBA brought the T-shirt deal back, I think that the players, since they can wear them during warm-ups and the press is going to cover it during warm-ups, why don't you wear T-shirts that speak to the condition of black people a little bit better than the shirts that you've been wearing before? So instead of I Can't Breathe, how about We Can't Stop Killing Each Other? For the ladies, you black women in particular, instead of change starts with us, how about change starts when you take that weave out of your head? And instead of I Can't Breathe, probably Jay-Z's favorite, I would imagine, we can't stop calling ourselves niggers. And the next time a domestic terrorist, a foreign terrorist, or a terrorist period unloads on law enforcement or anybody else and the cops put that person down, we know we can't wear John 3:16, because where will it end with that? What we can wear, however, is Austin 3:16. And Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped that terrorist's ass. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.